Alright, so for some reason my phone keeps cutting off. Um, so what I've done is I took approximately 1/3 of a cup of the crumbs and I put them into the middle of this pan. And I used the back of my spoon to just press it down, make a crust. My girls don't like the crust going up the sides, so that's why I didn't do it that way. I could care less either way, but they don't like the crust going up the sides, so whatever. Um, and I've got a lot of crust left, so we might be making more cheesecakes. Or something. I'm sure I'll find something to do with this crust. I see there's some spots right here. You don't want that to happen. You wouldn't be able to use the crust to keep the cheesecake in. Now I'm using the springform pan, so it actually comes apart right there when you're ready to take it out. And I just dumped a bunch of my crust onto the oven. Make sure you get it as even as possible. Now all those little seams are covered. Alrighty then, now we're going to put some of our batter in. Now with this cheesecake, I'm only going to put a small layer, a thin layer of cheesecake batter on the bottom, and I'll show you why in a minute. Alright folks, this is where the lemon drop comes in. As you can see, I put the cheesecake batter all around the edges, and a little dab in the middle. What we're going to do now is take our lemon filling, our lemon pie filling, and we're going to take it and we're going to drop it. This might be a little easier if it's warmed up just slightly. You're going to want to make it nice and smooth around there. Make it kind of even with the batter. As you can see, I preheated my oven to 350. There you go. Now we're going to take our other spoon. Actually, I'm going to get a bigger spoon. Just a minute. Okay, so this is actually a spoon rest, but I think this will work. See how nice and thick that's getting? Now you want to cover up that layer of lemon. Kind of like a lemon surprise there is what you're making. Back to the lemon. Now this time we want to put the lemon out here. Just drop it right on in there. Don't have to be pretty, don't have to be uniform. Now, I do not have a specific recipe for this because I kind of made it up based on a few other ones. So that's why I said at the beginning, this is a question, is this going to work? I don't know, but we're about to find out, aren't we? Sorry, my phone died earlier, and so I'm having to charge it while I record. So, it's making it a little bit difficult. And I think that if next time I'll warm it up a little, the lemon filling, just so that it's a little more smooth, I guess. But it looks yummy. Alright, back to the cheesecake. You're going to want to make sure you get enough in the edges here. See how nice and fluffy that is? Oh my goodness. And trust me, I had to taste some of this batter. It is yummy. Just a slight sweetness, very little. Very little, the lemon zest we put in it, or that I put in it, makes it just a tad bit lemony, not too overpowering. And I think the sweetness of the crust, with that being the lemon Oreos, and the tartness of this lemon filling is going to be absolutely magnificent. I could be wrong. It could taste like poop. Yeah, you know, whatever. But, I don't think that's going to be the case. But alright, fill it in so it's nice and even. Get all the way to the edges there. You want to make sure all that lemon's covered up. I see a little bit of lemon there. And there's a little dip right there, so we want to fill that up too. You want it to be as uniform and level as possible. And there's a little dip in there too. So we're going to fill that up. Oh, this looks so good. And this spoon rest is working just perfectly. So now comes the last bit of lemon. Alright, now. So the last level we did around here, around the edges. So we covered that with an even amount of cheesecake batter. And now I put the lemon drops all in the middle here. Some spread out to the edge. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a work of art. Cooking and baking, especially baking, is a work of art. To me, at least. So, this is my artistic interpretation of a lemon drop. I dropped the lemon into the cheesecake. I spread it around in the middle because we've already done a layer out here. And so now we're going to cover it up with just a little more cheesecake. Alright, so all our lemon goodness is covered up. I'm going to take some of this unused crust and make a little bit of a design there. And no, I did not forget I needed to cover this with aluminum foil. I bet some of y'all thought I did. I did not. What I did forget to show you is the fact that I put some boiling hot water in a tub in my oven to get my oven nice and moist so that my cheesecake won't crack. Look, it's going to be kind of like an upside down cheesecake. I don't know. I do this with my carrot cake cheesecakes. So I just think it'd be yummy. So that, and it'll look really pretty because it's going to brown with all that butter in there. Yummy. So I'll be back in just a minute. Maybe. Alright, so I have my cheesecake wrapped. You want to wrap it in aluminum foil. Now usually I'd be putting this in a water bath, like literally putting it into a pan of boiling water. But we're going to do this a little differently. Because every time I do that, I end up with soggy bottom cheesecake. So I did some research, and there is another way you can do it. So that's why I have the pan of boiling water down there, getting my oven all nice and moist. Because you don't want your cheesecake to crack. So what I've done is I have wrapped this. It's got a layer underneath and then all around the edges to keep our cheesecake safe. Keep it from getting too watery from the moisture coming from beneath it. And we're going to give this a try. Another question, is this going to work? I don't know. But it's on quite a few cheesecake recipes. So I'm hoping that it will. Make sure that the edges are like this, like crinkled down so that they don't fall into your cheesecake. And so the aluminum foil doesn't fall off. Especially put the aluminum foil underneath. But you want it to lay or sit in the oven as flat as possible, or your cheesecake will get kind of lopsided, and you don't want that either. Alright, so the cheesecake is now in the oven, and it's sitting right over the water. That's how you want it. You want it to sit as close over that pan of hot boiling water as you can get it. You don't want to leave your oven open very long because you're letting all the moisture out. Sorry about that. And now we are going to set the timer on our oven. Oh dear. I was supposed to bake the crust for 15 minutes and I totally forgot. I was having some computer issues, so hopefully it turns out alright. I knew there was something I was forgetting. Lovely. Bake for 15 minutes. Remove from oven and set on cooling rack while preparing filling. This is why I write down my notes, so I don't forget things. Okay. And it was supposed to be 350 for the crust, and now I'm supposed to turn it down to 325. It'll be alright. My oven actually cools off really fast. Reduce oven to 325. Place a 9 by 13 baking dish on lower rack and fill with boiling water. Did that to create a steamy environment for your cheesecake to bake. Prepare the filling. Alright, we did all that. There were no lumps. Add sour cream and spread filling and thin layer over bottom of crust. I'm going to put all these directions actually in the description. 1 hour. That's what I was trying to figure out. I couldn't remember how long I was to cook it. It's been a while since I've made a cheesecake. I don't think I've made a cheesecake since I've got to Washington, so it's been a good 5 years. Oh goodness. There we go. 1 hour. It's actually 1 hour or until your cheesecake is no longer jiggly. Place baking sheet with cheesecake on it on center rack of oven above pan of water for 1 hour until cheesecake appears set and dry on top but still jiggles in the center like jello. So we're going to keep this, which is the next step, right up here. I dropped some of my crust, so just ignore that. This is actually my canning project under here. It's cooling off. It will be ready to be unveiled at 7 o'clock in the morning. By the time my kid gets out of the house and goes to school, it'll be 8. So, I have been canning. If you're in any lives that I've been in for the past 2-3 weeks, you'll know I've been canning everything in sight. I have 2 freezers full of stuff that needs to be canned. And I like to clean up while things are cooking. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just bringing you along for a little chit chat. These are some of the things that I've already canned. That was hidden and I forgot to put it in the canner, so it's going to go out in my my compost brew, because yeah, this is the way it is. And so these are my lids that I didn't use. Actually, these are the rings that I did use and I took them off. After your cans or your jars, whatever you want to call them, have sat for 12 hours and cooled off, you want to take these rings off because you want to be able to test the seals. And how I usually do it is just press on it. Oops, I missed one. I just press on the little pop top. Uh-oh. Houston, we got a problem. Okay, that one is popping like that. And I see that I forgot to take the rings off of my big cans. So, hopefully they're not all like that. Just a minute. Okay, so this one's popping on the top. It's not sealed, but I can't lift the lid. So I'm going to go ahead and put this aside. This is chicken breast. And if it had been less than 12 hours, I would have went ahead and just put it in the fridge and recanned it. But I promised my child chicken burritos. So what I'll do with this, it's still good. I'm going to stick it in the fridge and I'll use it tomorrow for dinner. Oy, oy, oy. So much to do, and sometimes I just forget to take the lids off, apparently. Now a lot of people actually leave those rings on. I don't like to do that because I like to know that my things are sealed. That one's not pressing down, so that's good. Okay, so out of this batch that I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I only had one that I would consider a fail. I And some people wouldn't because they can't get the lid off. But that should not be happening. Oh, excuse me. There's another one back here. What's this? This is my... Oh, that's my cabbage soup. I forgot about the cabbage soup. That was actually done, the cabbage soup was actually done with the apples that I accidentally pressure canned. What was supposed to go in there was my greens and my mushrooms. That didn't happen, so what I ended up doing was I used the other greens, and I made a pizza with the spinach, and I drank the broth. This one I found hidden back here under the towel, and it didn't get done. And as you can see, it's already starting to get mold and stuff, which is great for my compost brew, because that means there's all kinds of mitochondria in there, which will actually improve the compost tea, compost brew, whatever you want to call it. It'll actually add to the nutrients in the tea. So that's great, but I mean, and it was a really small amount. That was just like the leftovers. So I think that's why it kind of got pushed back. I think I was going to add more to it and then realized I didn't have any more to add. But I'm really happy that my cabbage soup came out so good. That was actually purple cabbage. So that came out really nice. These are chicken breast in broth. It's ugly chicken. Ugly chicken. This is what I like to call ugly hamburger. None of the ground beef in this batch or the chicken in this batch was seasoned. The batch I did today, these are from yesterday. There's a batch under that towel that I did today, and those are actually my seasoned meats. That's salt. Apparently, one of these that was in a salt brine must have toppled over or something, but they're all sealed, so that's good. And I'll wash them tomorrow, because I have a sink full of dishes I have to put in the dishwasher. So these will all get washed tomorrow. I got steelhead trout, the shrimp, there's a video for that. My mahi-mahi from Butcher's Block. That's what the BF means, Butcher Block. MF does not mean something bad. It means misfits. I saw that and I'm like, that doesn't look good. CC means crowd cow. And I like to do that because sometimes I like to do a lot of the different brands in the same batch, so that I know which one my kids like better. Like, do they like the crowd cow chicken breast, or do they prefer the Misfits chicken breast? I don't think I have Misfits chicken breast in this one. No, it's all crowd cow. The ones I did today were Misfits, and I think I have some Butcher Box as well over on the other shelf. So I don't want to make this a really long video. I've got an hour to wait for that cheesecake and then check it, so I'll be back then. Alright, so my buzzer just beeped, and we need to check this cheesecake. It smells good. So it's firm on the outside, and it's a little jiggly on the inside. And so we're going to plop that back in there. We want to let this cool down slowly. So what I'm going to do is I've already turned the oven off, and I'm going to leave it in the closed oven for 45 minutes. Alrighty, I have a slight correction. I'm supposed to let it cool in the oven with the door shut for 1 hour, and then crack the door for 45 minutes before we put it in the refrigerator. Alright, so my timer went off, and it's now time to crack the door. Look at how beautiful that is. And let it sit there for 45 minutes. I think this is about as least I can get it. Alright, so I'll see you again in 45 minutes after I pause you. Alright, the 45-minute mark has happened and the beeper went off, and I've taken it out of the oven that had the door cracked, and it's still quite warm. So now what we have to do is let it sit here until it gets room temperature, or until the sides here start pulling away from the pan. And when it's pulled away from the pan, we'll stick it in the refrigerator. Alright, it is now several hours later, and our cheesecake has started to pull away from the sides. So we're going to go ahead and stick it in the refrigerator, and we're going to leave it there for about 6 or 7 hours, really. Pretty much for 6 hours. We're going to leave it there and let it chill. Just hanging out in our fridge. I am going to cover it with some parchment paper now that it's cool. You know, because being open in the refrigerator is just kind of gross. I might actually... It's not pulled away from all the sides, so I'm going to wait about an hour until it pulls completely away from the sides. And then I'll put it in the refrigerator for 6 hours. But there it is. My lemon drop cheesecake. And we'll do a testing in quite a few hours later.